Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to For Strategy Gaming. Today we'll be taking a look at a series between Nestea and IM's MVP. We are here on Shakur's Plateau for the first game in the series, Nestea spawning in the lower left-hand position as our red Zerg player, and in the far upper right-hand position of Shakur's Plateau, we have got IM's MVP as the blue Terran player. Now these games are coming from this year's BlizzCon, and I am so excited to be commentating this particular series here. As we can see, Nestea sending his Overlord down to the far right-hand position. Of course, with this, he will be attempting to scout at MVP. Now, as we know, MVP is not in that position, so once the Overlord gets his way to about right here and realizes that MVP is not located, we expect him to make his way to the upper right position and then kind of locate himself quite likely behind either this natural expansion or wedge himself right up here so that he can eventually use that Overlord for sacrificial secondary scouting. Now, as we can see again, cross-positional on this particular map, not possible to spawn in that near position, that close ground position. That just doesn't happen on this map here. So you're either going to deal with someone cross-positional from you or to the far right of you, and that is exactly why Nestea is sending his Overlord to the far right instead of straight to the north, because he knows it is not possible for MVP to be up in that spot. Now, he will be sending the second Overlord to this north position. This will allow him to scout out the scouting SCV as it makes its way into his base. He just wants to get a little bit of advanced warning for that. Also just wants vision around that hatchery. He wants to make sure there's no bunker harass or anything like that going on. I mean, look at how much vision right now is allotted to Nestea, and that's exactly what this Overlord right here is going to be able to do for him. So Nestea now moving into the far right-hand position. That Overlord getting very close. You can see this Overlord again stopping in this location. He is just used for early game aggression and or scouting. That's exactly, he'll be used for early game aggression scouting and scouting. That's what I meant to say. We get to Nestea now moving up into MVP's base, and also that Overlord now finally realizing that MVP is not there. Again, we should be seeing that Overlord change its trajectory there. The first barracks now finished, orbital command coming on through as well, and a second supply depot. Everything looking very, very standard so far for MVP. Nothing too out of the ordinary. SCV scout for MVP, first checking that upper left, realizing Nestea is not there. He's now moving down to the lower left-hand position. He will be spotting Nestea's quick expansion. We can see that spawning pool about 3/4 of the way finished, just now getting that first extractor as well. We do have a drone moving down to actually meet up with the SCV. He doesn't want to lose sight of where MVP is going with that. Again, he just really wants to make sure there's no bunker reaper harass or anything like that. And now he did manage to scout the main base, and let's take a look at what he saw. He saw the racks finish. He also saw a lack of tech lab. Now we do have a factory follow-up, so MVP opening up a Rax factory, still has 3 guys on the gas and still without a second refinery. We might be seeing a little bit of early game marine aggression from him. We've got a total of 2 marines in play right now for MVP. He's got the first one at this tower here, second one joining up with him, so he may move out with that just to attempt to apply a little bit of pressure. MVP's SCV is still alive. In fact, he has yanked a couple of resources from Nestea. Now Nestea opened up with a total of 2 Zerglings, deciding not to go for those 4, and that's actually could be an issue here because these 2 Marines will have no problem taking out those 2 Zerglings. So let's take a look at what goes on here. Might as well drop this cinematic effect, and there we go. The Zerglings taking a couple shots. One of them gets dropped. The other one manages to make his way back home, but again, that could have been a much different situation had Nestea had 4 Zerglings as opposed to just those 2. With those 2, he really doesn't even have the opportunity to engage. In fact, now there are 3 Marines, and that's a huge problem. Actually, even if he had 4 Zerglings, 3 Marines would have been way too much as well. But it does look like MVP will be heading back home. He's got a bunker coming out front, also building that extra, that expansion there very early on. He's opening up Hellions into Expo. Now, these early game Hellions, what they allow the Terran player to do is get a bit of map control. Not until the Zerg player does have metabolic boost, he's going to be able to actually counteract these Hellions. And even with metabolic boost, you can see actually 2 more Hellions, so he's going to be getting at least 4 Hellions as an opening. So again, just making sure that he has map control. And with 4+ Hellions, it's really, really, really difficult, even with metabolic boost, to maintain map control as a Zerg player, at least at this early stage of the game. We are seeing Nestea drone up very, very hard. You can see just massing up those drones right now. In fact, he's got no Zerglings, just will be relying on Queens, plus that Spine Crawler. He does also have a macro hatch being built right here, and this is obviously is also going to be able to prevent those Hellions from being able to sneak on in. It's just going to kind of tunnel him into this corridor right here. Makes it much easier for Nestea to defend himself with Queens. In fact, look at this, almost getting a wall off. I'm feeling like I'm watching a Terran player here with his Queens, plus that macro hatch and the evolution distribution chamber. We almost have a full wall off here for Nestea. If nothing else, again, that will funnel MVP into a certain area. Now, a big thing to keep in mind is, and it's not necessarily the case that right this moment, MVP is attempting to be aggressive. In fact, as we can see, he is not. MVP coming out here with a third expansion, so he's not going to be aggressive anytime soon at all. He is just using these Hellions for map control, and that is it. He is more than content to keep these Hellions out here because what's happening right now is Nestea is stuck in his base. He cannot leave his base, and as we can see, he's not planning to, not quite as of yet at least. He doesn't even have any Zerglings still just droning up. You can see 46 drones as opposed to the 28 SCVs. Let us take a quick look at that income tab. Nestea getting a little bit of an advantage. MVP eking out that mineral advantage. That is, of course, due to mules. Actually, we saw a little bit of a supply block there from Nestea as well. I'm actually not entirely sure what that was from. I may have missed it. It's probably a sacrificial overlord. In fact, I'm actually going to assume that's exactly what that was. We take a look at the resources lost. Look at that, actually losing a few more, trapped in the corner there. That's a problem for Nestea. He's got to be careful. He's going to actually try to sneak his queen on down there. Got a couple more Zerglings coming up. In fact, 8 Zerglings. Also, layer tech coming out. Level 1 melee attack plus the Carpus upgrade there coming out for Nestea. So Nestea getting those upgrades for his ground melee units. Back over here, MVP still not prepared to push. He has just been so focused on his economy. Again, with his third expansion, he does want to make sure he tries to get that saturated, but he is buying himself so much time by containing Nestea right now. Nestea still unable to leave his base. Actually trying to push down with that spine crawler. We'll be moving down with a queen as well. Here come the Zerglings trying to push back those Hellions. He needs to be careful though. That is not enough Zerglings to deal with those Hellions. Once these 16 Zerglings pop, he should have enough to actually overwhelm those Hellions, but he still does have to be careful. Hellions attempting to move on the offensive there, and here it comes. Zergling counterattack. Nestea pushing out with his lings. He's moving straight towards the natural. Oh no, Zerglings! Oh no, they did not want to engage there. That was a problem. I am not sure that Nestea meant to do that. He just lost a lot of Zerglings very unnecessarily there. We got a couple Zerglings checking up here, the rest checking for an Expo down here. Did he spot this expansion up there? I'm not entirely sure that he did. I don't think no, he got no Zerglings up there, so Nestea does not know about that Expo. We've got a mass amount of Zerglings right here. Infestation pit almost done for Nestea. Nestea still just on 2 bases though. This is concerning. MVP pushing out. He has got his third base working to get some mining from there. We can see the mules and a few SCVs, and here comes a push from MVP. We've got those pathogen glands now just researching. 22 Zerglings making their way on out. We also have a ton of Zerglings over here. Total of 55 Zerglings on the board at the moment. That spine crawler is going to get taken out. The tank setting up siege. Would like to see Nestea take that out and actually push it back, but that's not happening. We've got 5 infestors, but is it going to come in time? That's a question. If he can get those infestors in play, this will not be nearly as bad of a position for Nestea, but Nestea still on 2 bases, and this is the concern because MVP is looking to just contain Nestea at the moment. If Nestea stays on 2 bases for very much longer, he will fall way too far behind economically. MVP with that third base will just be in a fantastic position, and I think Nestea's been playing a little bit too passively, but he is ready to converge in just one moment. He's got Zerglings over here, and here it comes right now. Zerglings moving down to get it full surround, trying to get up to those tanks and stop that splash damage. There's so many Zerglings. Marines are microed down. Here come the infestors. Don't have enough energy to fungal growth, but it is not needed. The Zerglings able to mop up everything that MVP had in that contain. And now MVP is in an incredibly vulnerable position. We have got a total of 43 Zerglings in play, plus 5 infestors. Here come those Zergling counterattacks. Needs to be careful. That one tank is threatening to that small amount of Zerglings. But once these infestors and additional Zerglings come out, oh, Nestea could do a lot of damage. I'm really concerned for MVP right now. He's got to get some more siege tanks in play. We've got some Marines prepared to check that high ground there. Nestea now finally moving into his third expansion. I do want to take a look at that income tab. Look at MVP. He is eking his way ahead in minerals and pretty much in gas as well. So still a problem for Nestea. Nestea really needs to do some damage. Now, yes, he mopped up all of MVP's units, but he still is not exactly in the position he wants to be, and that is why we're seeing him this far across the map. He is looking to converge and try to do some damage, just trying to mass up his forces a little bit longer. Looks like he will be waiting for those 2 upgrades. Once those finish, I expect him to push, moving forward with those infestors to get the fungals on the Marines and then let those upgraded Zerglings tear through everything else. And those upgrades getting very close to finish. Nestea prepared to mount his attack. That third expansion just about to pop as well. One scouting Zergling moving forward. He just wants to check the siege line. There we go. So now he knows when to expect that siege fire. However, we've got another tank just about to set up, and that's going to let that siege fire be a little bit closer. Here comes that tank on the high ground. That's going to be an issue for Nestea. Nestea needs to be very careful. He's got no vision of the high ground, so he's got no way of seeing that tank and actually preventing it. This tank's going to start shelling out on reinforcements as they make their way across the map, so Nestea's pretty much going to have to work with what he has sitting right over here. 2-2 upgrade now just finishing. Here comes the hive tech. Looks like Nestea is prepared to push. The massive swarm of Zerglings. Infested Terrans getting dropped. We did see some nice fungal growth action there as well, and there are so many Zerglings. MVP really doesn't have what he needs to contend with this. However, with that high ground position of that siege tank, it's going to force those Infestors to move up top just to give him vision. There's no more mining going on at this expansion. Infested Terrans will take out that siege tank. We've got some Infested Terrans over here. This expansion gets mopped up from Zerglings. We've got Zerglings in the main, and MVP is looking to lose this game. He just got demolished by that 2-2 upgrade push from those Speedlings. Some nice Infested Terrans and fungal growths there, and even though reinforcements are taking damage from the siege tank, really doesn't matter because Nestea has done so much damage right now. He's still got Zerglings all in MVP's base. Look at that huge discrepancy. Income-wise, nothing going on, and there is the GG. All right, my friends, that was game number 1 here between MVP and Nestea. Game going to Nestea, a very, very nice 2-2 upgrade push. Infestors plus those upgraded Speedlings just tearing through everything that MVP had, and especially when MVP lost his contain units, the siege tanks and marines that he had outside of Nestea's base, that just put him in an awful position, and this counter push did so much damage and forced the GG. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you have enjoyed this game. Game number 2 coming in just one moment. As always, if you like the content, please subscribe. Thank you for watching. Keep watching and keep owning.